everyone, this is your girl Purpose Soul Mystic, and I'm standing in front of The Craft. It's a metaphysical shop and hair salon owned by a friend of mine named Tiffany Lee. I've known that Tiffany identifies as a witch, but I know nothing about her spiritual practice, so here we are to interview her. But first we're going to walk in and take a tour of her shop. So let's go in, shall we? Okay guys, now we are inside of The Craft. And we're going to do a little mini tour about what she has in here. She is a crystal fanatic, just like I am. And here's some of what she has. Oh, look at that big old rose quartz. I've been dying for a big rose quartz tower. Her amethyst. Labradorite. Oh, and look at her pictures and plaques. What in the hell was that? Now we go over here, and we have little lavender bundles. Some jewelry, crystals. I see chakra bracelets. Some earrings, palm stones. Like apatite and some pendulums, and we have some herbs like Florida water, sage spray. And we have the smaller polished gemstones. Oh, and we have some runes gemstones. Let's see, green aventurine, I see tiger's eye, I see bumblebee jasper, rutilated, tourmalated quartz, and she has candles. Let's go over here. Soaps and scrubs. Palo Santo, body butter, amberjack, amber and black cardamom, apple butter. These are candles. She's got sage sticks and Palo Santo. And lots of loose herbs. Incense sticks. Then we have she has hair stuff. Tiffany is also a hairdresser. She specializes in color. We have some soaps. Okay. So y'all, that is a tour of her store. Hello everyone, this is Purpose Soul Mystic, and I am here today with Priestess Tiffany Lee. And we're having a conversation about witchery. I have always been interested and ignorant about it. I've known Tiffany for a couple of years now and have been involved in like her witches ball, which we'll talk about later, and have purchased things from her store. You saw at the beginning how beautiful her shop is and all of the crystals and things that she has. So I purchased several things from her, even have on my Moldavite necklace that I got from here, you know, today, and still know nothing really about her practice. And so I contacted her and was like, can I interview you about this? And at first, because you know my website, I have a blog, I was going to do a blog post. I was going to write an article. And then my daughter was like, Mom, why don't you make it a video? That would be a real interesting video. So here we are. And I'm going to start. We have papers because I did a whole bunch of questions. My brain was going from question to question to question. So hopefully this is informative to you and gives you a better understanding. So Tiffany, the first Priestess Tiffany,
yes.
The first question that I wanted to know is, what kind of witch are you?
That is an awesome question. Thank you. So for me, like, there are different types, like, you're, like you had mentioned, like the green witch, white witch, dark witch, for me, I'm eclectic, so okay. I do pick up, pieces from a lot, of our different, pantheons and magic. So, I'm open to not one specific path, so I'm open to everything.
Okay, so yes. You're not Wiccan, because for some reason I had Wiccan in my head.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A lot of people do assume that when they come in. They think, that's one of the first things they think is priestess, is, you're automatically high priestess of, a pagan coven. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as my coven, it's a learning coven, so I'm a priestess, but it's to teach, and I'm not like teaching Wicca, I'm not teaching, any type of religion, actually.
Okay.
So that's, and we do have Christian, we have Catholic, we have,
in your coven?
Yes, in the coven, yes, we do. So, which is, people get that same look when we talk about it. We also have like, Wicca, we have, Druid, we have a lot of different, paths going on. But to me, like, I'm here just to teach you how to live your best life as magically as possible. So, yes, so priestess of the community, we have lots of people who come to me for a pantheon of things. So,
okay, that's cool. Yeah. So that just totally changes what I was thinking, because I was thinking Wicca.
Right.
Okay. So eclectic.
Eclectic, yes.
Okay.
Very eclectic.
Okay. Yeah. So tell me about the beliefs. Like, do you worship creation or nature, or is it a god, or is it goddesses, or what is the central?
That is actually a great question. So for me, I don't, or my group either, we don't worship, anything. No gods, we don't worship, any, pantheon, kind of, so to speak. So what we do when we talk about our gods and goddesses that are out there, it's not saying we don't, believe the gods and goddesses, we do. Mm-hmm. However, the way we approach that is, when I, hey Janae, I'm Tiffany, how you doing? And I'll say, hey Janae, I'm Priestess Tiffany. How are you today? Mm-hmm. Hey, Janae, I'm Noah's mom. Nice to meet you. Or, hey, Janae, I'm literally like John's wife. What face do you need me to put on in order to help you? So to us, like, the God and Goddess, God is God is God is God, depending on what hat you need them to wear. So, I think they're all, one and the same. This one being, this one, nature,
you believe
energy.
in one supreme being?
Spirit.
Okay.
Energy, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like to us, like when you go out, like, the trees, are connected to us. Like I'm connected to you, you're connected to me. And that is a great energy, so that's how we kind of, put things.
Okay. So there is no particular thing that you call upon when you're doing a ritual, or there's no name, there's no...
Now this is where it gets tricky. Yes, actually, in some instances we do. Let's just say, like for me, if I'm going to call on a specific goddess, to me, the first one who comes to mind is literally like Aphrodite, but I own a beauty salon. So, she's that, that love and beauty creation. So there are things that I will call upon her likeness, for her being, and then there's other things like, Hecate, that, we'll call on that one. But we don't worship, one specific. So you just call on, who you need.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense. It does. Okay. Is there a spiritual book? When we think about, well, I guess that goes also to the question of whether you see this as a religion.
Right. So for us and my particular coven, there is not a particular book, and you can definitely pull information from lots of different sources out there.
So you said you have Christians in there. They have the Bible, right?
Right. So they do. They would go by their Bible. A lot will tell you. When you get to the book of Psalms, there's a lot of spell work in that book of Psalms, So, which, to us, that's a great, book to go by as well. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so in your coven, is there a hierarchy?
Hierarchy as in?
You're a priestess.
Yes.
I heard you mention you have a high priestess. So there's somebody above you. What are the people other people that are in there? Are they members? Are they witches?
Okay.
Is there...
Right. So in a traditional, coven, you would have the high priestess, you would have the high priest, and that would be, your hierarchy, from there. For us...
So the priestess is higher than the priest?
Nope, they're equal.
They're equal.
They're equal.
Okay.
So you have that, but for me, our coven is just me, the priestess. We don't... But it's mostly because we don't practice, like your traditional coven would. We don't get together to do magical workings, per se. Each, are welcome to do their own. You will hear us do, like, hey, let me send out, positive energy and healing to someone. Now, we will, as a group, individually, like, send out, that kind of healing and whatnot. But yeah, so that's kind of our little group works.
Okay. So is everybody else in there considered to be a witch?
Most everybody in the coven does, consider themselves to be a witch.
Okay. Yeah. And what does that mean exactly?
For us, like, if you think back, witch really to us means wise one.
Okay.
So when you think, way back, we used to go to, like, the little old lady in the village. You would go to them for your healing and, for any kind of, that was the medical, the store, and, to get your herbs and stuff. So to me, like, witch has such a bad connotation.
Right. That's why,
Yes,
the interview, I'm like, we need to dispel some of this.
We do.
So witch to your coven means wise.
Just wise one. So,
okay.
Just a healer.
Okay. Alrighty. So tell me, how does somebody go from being a witch to being a priestess to being a high priestess? Is there something already laid out, or are they chosen, or is there a specific path to get from one level to the next, or like how do you go from priestess to high priestess?
Well, to me, there's not really, a difference, unless you are, again, in that traditional coven, which we are not. So if you were in a traditional coven, you would be initiated, into the priestess, in the priest position, high priest, high priestess. For us, with my little coven and how I became, priestess, is you can also study, for years and years. So most of my life I have studied, as a witch, and, just doing the work, what we call it, out there, doing the healings. I've done it like pretty much my whole life since, teenager.
So you've always been a witch. You haven't been in any other faith.
Yes. As a kid, we grew up Southern Baptists. Oh. We did. Yes. So my family, half of them were like Southern Baptists. The other half were Pentecostal. So With me, it was the church was always there. You know, the grandparents, you know, the aunts, the uncles, everybody was, you know, very much involved in the church. So I'm very comfortable, you know, in the church. I would say my favorite would be the Pentecostal. That's as close as you're gonna get, you know, to what we experience when we as witches raise energy, because you can't walk into a holiness church and feel that spirit move and feel that energy, you know, like anywhere else, you know. So that's kind of, you know, for those that are in the spiritual, you know, church community, that's as close as we can come to describing, you know, what it's like to, if you were going to do ritual work and raise that energy, you know, because you can definitely feel spirit moving.
Yeah,
you know?
That's interesting that you say that, because I haven't said that my background is in the Christian faith, and I am actually a licensed and ordained prophetess. I don't practice that anymore. I haven't preached since 2006, but when I was in it, I was very much in the Pentecostal, the Pentecostal area. We weren't sitting there. We were shouting and dancing and running around the church and that kind of thing. So I can totally relate.
Right, you know.
To
and I
that.
had, like, my great grandmothers, like, they would speak in tongues, you know.
Yes,
you know, so
all
you know,
that.
you know. So yes, I do have that entire, you know, background to pull from. And it was interesting mixing, you know, like, you know, you kind of had this ideal that in the church, you know, when you speak of witchery and witchcraft, that's wrong.
Right.
You know, like, that's the devil.
That's demonic, right.
But for us, like, I'll be the first to say I don't believe in the devil.
Okay.
You know, we don't, you know, that's a whole different, you know, thing for us. And they said, well, you know, the devil sits on your shoulder. He made you do it. You know, it's like we don't buy into that. We are 100% responsible
for our actions.
You know, and nobody made you do anything. You know, so you have to, you know, own up. You know, to what we
have your own free will. You make your own choices and decisions.
Yes, 100%.
And somebody can influence you.
Yes.
But they don't make you
that doesn't make
do
you.
anything.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So then, to go up, there's initiation. The initiation. This is in the traditional, like you said.
Right.
Initiate. Is there? I'm thinking about like sororities and fraternities where they do that whole thing, like you go through to become a.
So this would be you would study varying degrees, you know, and then you know initiate, you know, step by step, you know, until you are initiated as a high priest or high priestess.
Okay.
You know, for me, you know, excuse me, it was a little different. So I knew that I wanted to serve my community, you know, and not just a pagan priestess, you know, someone to step up as like a healer, because I mean I have that background as well as a healer. So I just went before, you know, our greater being and took my own vows as a priestess, and then became, you know, ordained, you know, like that way. You know, so,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you say you're a teacher, because one of my questions was, what does a priestess do? When you have your meetings, is there a particular, you know, the preacher will come with a sermon.
Right.
So
you know.
when you do your meetings, is there like a sermon, or are you teaching a particular thing, or are you led by spirit as to what you should preach that particular day, or are you following an established agenda that, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so how ours work, what we do is sometimes I will pick a book and say, like, you know, right now, like, it's funny that you had said witchery, because there is a book, Witchery, and literally it was one of the closest things that I could have written the book myself, you know, how I live, how I do things. And so I said, all right, we're going to start from page 1 and go through it, you know, as a group. And if you have questions, because you got to think most of them we were teaching coven, so they're all new, you know, to the world of, you know, witchcraft. So here, let me, you know, help you, you know, let me tell you, you know, like, this is my experience and what this means, and we go about it that way. Like right now, like, we're actually talking graveyard etiquette, you know, so when you go to the graveyards, you know, so so how I do it, I literally write out, you know, like a lesson plan, you know, and literally we agenda, like, we'll hit notes, like you will, because my brain will go 10 million, you know, different. It's like, okay, let's stay on track here. But, you know, the questions, the answers, you know, and that's how we, you know. But I do teach my experiences and what I've gained. You know, so if that, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. So, I've heard witches and warlocks. So, are men warlocks and women witches, or are both witches?
They're all witches.
Okay.
The gender neutral, you
Okay.
know, male, female, doesn't matter. You know,
Okay.
like, you know, you could definitely, there are plenty of male witches, and I have several, you know, in my
Okay.
group. You know.
Okay. So, because what I've read was that warlocks are negative. Like, they're anti-witch. Like, they were witches who turned against other witches. Like, back during the time when it flipped on witches back in the 1400s, that there were some witches that betrayed other witches, and that those particular ones are called warlocks.
Now for
because
us,
they betrayed.
Yeah, and for us, we don't really, you know, go by that. Although we do have some male witches who prefer to identify as, you know, warlock, even though obviously
because they want to differentiate by sex,
right?
Not because
they have
they
denounced
hold
witches,
that,
you know,
right? Okay, okay. So there's no worshiping, and you give the teaching. Is the coven, or are they generally open to visitors? Like, you know, a church, anybody can walk into a church, whether you're a member or not, whether you've ever been there before, and come and sit through the service and fellowship. Are the covens that way, or do you have to be invited by another witch, or how does that work?
For us, so we live in the Bible Belt. You know, right? And it is not always, you know, the best thing to say that, you know, come out and say, hey, I'm a priestess or I'm a witch. It's just frowned upon, you know, a lot until they get to know you. So with that being said, we will invite people in, you know, but most covens you have to be invited anyway. And ours is no different. You know, we will have guest night where we say, hey, you know, would you, you know, and I've had a lot of people express interest in the community. And so we will say, hey, you know, come on in. You know, this is the night that we're open, and we meet once a week, you know, and it's more of like, we would say like a tight-knit little family, you know, we look out for each other. So like, you might click with us, you know, you might not click with us, but just to see what it's all about, because most people, they don't know.
Right.
You know, so it's to come in and see.
Or they have this preconceived, you know, like I said, if you come from particular backgrounds, it's automatically, you know.
And our coven, it's you know, it's private membership, you know, so unless those who are okay with being in the community and say, hey, yes, I am a part of the coven, yes, I am a witch, you know, those are, you know, we're welcome to be out in public. You know, I myself am in the public eye. However, not all of our members are, and that's why it's kept, you know, super, you know, private to protect, you know, the members. You know.
You guys, we live in an incredibly conservative town. That's can be very closed off to things that are not a particular way, and very much Bible Belt. So I totally understand.
I think we're making progress with, you know, the community and, you know, being, you know, who we are. You know, so, you know, I was brave. I put my name on that door and I said, you know what, we're just gonna do it. You know, and you know, I've been here for, you know, in this location for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, coming up, you know, January 1st will be 8 years, you know, so, yeah.
And she is right, the town, she is smack dab in the middle of downtown. And downtown here is everything. This is prime real estate. This is where people come to shop. This is the hub of this little town. So for her to have a shop like this in this particular area with its, you know, views, conservative views, and been here that long, that's amazing.
Saying a lot.
That's absolutely amazing.
So yeah.
So, do you fellowship with other covens? Do you guys, the members, have friends or friendships with other covens? Do you guys do things together? Or are you just onto yourself? Because if I'm not mistaken, different covens do different things, have different beliefs, have different, do different rituals, etc. So, do you guys mix or no?
No, actually we do. You know, which we have one just for identity, we won't, speak of, their coven. But we refer to them as our brother coven because they do have, it is a traditional, coven with high priest, high priestess, and I'm very good friends with both, and occasionally, if it's one thing we love to do, we love to go out and have some margaritas and eat. So I think that's the one common thing. We all love that. So we'll occasionally get together, and I will say, like, our coven, it's because it is a teaching coven, it's a fairly large, coven, as in like 30, plus members. And we've actually come down from that, just to tighten it up a little bit. But yeah, we absolutely, we love to fellowship, so to speak, get out and have a good time with other, and even though we completely have different ways of doing things, our paths are completely different, but yet they're the same, So when we talk about, our brother coven, I get with them, in other groups and say, hey, we're putting healing out to the world, because right now, goodness knows, we need healing for for the whole world right this minute. And somebody's got to do the work, non-biased, not with an agenda other than healing for everybody involved, and that's men, women, children, animals, just the land itself, just and it's just putting that positive energy out there, because it's tough out there right now.
Yeah. Okay. So now my mind is something that you just said that sparked something else in my mind, and I'm trying to get it back there and make it make sense. Because there are some of those that they believe, like Mother Gaia is to God, and in creation, your earth and your trees and your whatever, and animals. Yes. So it made me think about diet. Is there anything that you don't eat because of being a witch? No, not because of being a witch. Now, we do have some who have, converted to, veganism, but not necessarily because of, the witchcraft. And it's just a healthier lifestyle, choice per se. But no, you will find a lot of, witches, that do eat, different meat. Whatever.
You're right. And, but you're very respectful, of, that animal, that you've consumed. And in the witch community, I think you'll find a lot of them when they do the veganism because of, it's like if we think about how these animals were raised, how they were treated, how they were slaughtered, and if you believe the connection, well then literally if that animal felt terror, if it was
at the time they were
and all of that, then you are literally consuming
that energy.
So we're kind of conscious that way.
Okay. So it's like a certain place you get your meat? Because if you're going to a restaurant, they probably got it from a butcher shop that,
they do. Right. And it's really hard, unless you really truly convert to 100%, veganism, but, that's one of the things for me personally. Literally, let's say bless my food, when you can't, be, hey, I know where this came from, literally, and it's like, a lot of people talk about Reiki, or healing energy. Yes. So we do, you literally infuse and just change the energy of that, before you just want to be conscious, so.
Okay. All right, let's get into some symbolism.
Okay.
On your sign, I see the triple moon thing. I see the triple moon sign with a lot of witches.
Yes.
What is that about?
So our triple moon literally is our symbol of the goddess. That feminine energy. Is what that means to us.
Okay. So is that specifically a witch sign?
No, I don't think it's specifically a witch sign. No. Okay. Not at all.
Okay, so then it was just adopted as feminine energy, the goddess. Okay.
Representation.
What about the pentagram?
Okay, so we have the pentagram. Literally, if you look at it, it has 5 points, and that is our element. Being the
earth, fire, wind,
and air. Water. And then at the top you have spirit, which is that energy. So and literally that's what that is. It wasn't always looked down as a bad symbol. Like in the churches, there were pinnacles everywhere. And the difference between a pinnacle and a pentagram. The actual the pinnacle has a circle around it.
Right.
So, but still the same, like your elements and spirit, so. It was a protective one.
I know. It's like there have been so many things that you just look at it because of what you've been taught previously,
Right.
and that's bad. That's a bad sign.
Right. You know.
Like when I see that symbol, that's a pentagram. That's which, and that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, that's earth, water, air,
Yeah.
fire, and spirit.
Yes.
What is so freaky about that?
To us, not a thing. We love it. It's
Right.
our protection. And we're gonna wear that little as our protection symbol, and it's just representation of all the elements and spirit.
So you say it's a protection symbol, the pentagram.
Yes. For us, it's a very protective. In nature, a lot of us we will take that as an amulet and infuse that, make it a protection symbol for us to wear. But yeah, that's very common.
Okay. What about the witch's hat? I remember being in here one time near Halloween, and on this wall right here, there was a red hat, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get that for Halloween."
Right.
I never got around to getting it, but what is it with the witch's hat? I mean, because you see it in pictures, you see it everywhere. Everywhere. Is it really a thing? And was that something that was just folklore, or is it really something to you?
Okay, so to us, the witch's hat doesn't necessarily have to be a thing. But where it came from was, we believe, like the cone of power. So when you think, that spiral shape and that little pointed hat, is you're building that cone of power to send that energy out into the universe. So.
Okay, so when I looked at it today, knowing where I am now spiritually, because it's a journey, ever evolving,
always,
and I was looking at it, I'm going, okay, this is the crown chakra, and I'm thinking, okay, this is your knowledge you get from source, which the heavens or spirit above you can come into that shape, or it's coming in or it's going out.
And that is a fantastic way to look at that too. Right?
I was sitting there thinking, I never thought about it because I wasn't there.
Right.
Again, always evolving, learning, and changing. And you got kids walking around at Halloween time dressed as one that don't know the symbolism or what they're doing or whatever, and it's not anyway. That's why we're doing this, because we're trying to understand and dispel some things.
Who doesn't love a good witch's hat? I have one in every color. From gray and red, and the little knitted hat, and then the big fancy one.
Oh, when you sent me that text, when your meme with the witch hat, I thought, this is so cute,
right?
This is so cute.
We like to have some fun, we're a fun bunch.
So, okay. Let's talk about spells, rituals, and this magic with the K.
Yes.
Now, this is the part where a whole lot of people from different faiths get that the spell thing, because it almost gives the connotation that you are manipulating something to get somebody to do something that you want them to do, or that kind of, it has a negative thing. It's like you're taking free will away from somebody, which you can't do again. But like it's a manipulation of some sort. So talk to me about spells.
So you're partially right, when it comes to magic, with a K, and the only reason we say with a K is to differentiate from your magic magicians, kind of thing, So, when you talk about magic, you're literally taking an outside energy, to cause a change, now, whether, it's down to the person, what kind of change you're bringing about.
That's where the black magic and the black witchery and the white witchery.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute too. Okay, so to us, in our group, like that's a big misconception. There is no such thing as white or black energy. There's not. Now how you use that energy, is your intent. That's all on you, how you put it out there. But energy itself, and using the energy it's not, dark or or white. If that makes sense. It's just energy. But now how you use it, that's you and your intent. So which can be used for good, or bad intent. But as for us,
so then let me give an example. A love spell. Somebody is in love with this John over there, And so they want to do a love spell because John is not noticing them or paying them any attention.
Right.
But they really want John, so they do this love spell to get John to fall in love with them.
Right. Okay. So yes, first off, that is a thing. However, that goes back to the personal, witchery. For me personally, like, I don't do that. I'm not going to manipulate, someone.
Make somebody fall in love with you. You just want them to fall in love with you naturally.
Right. And let's just say you do this ritual, because it can be done. Once you do that, spell, let's just say it works, for instance. Okay, well, now what happens? Do they love you? Or do they love you and they're with you because of this spell that you put out there? And to me, like, for me, it's just an ethics thing.
Now, to me, I could see it as, if you do it for general, you're not pointing out John.
Right. No.
You just want love to come into your life.
And that is okay.
And to me, that sounds like, law of attraction. You're putting out that positive energy to attract love in your life, not force another person.
Right. Because that's
to love
messing
you
with their free will.
Okay.
And you don't want to we don't do that.
Right.
Not saying others don't. I hate to say that. But, for us, it's not something that we do.
Okay, so when you do, and I guess with that, because there are some that do and some that don't, there's that in every religion. Okay, there are going to be fanatics. There are going to be, like, some people say, like, in the I'm gonna talk about Christianity because that's what I was in.
Right.
Do you remember that church in Texas that used to have the snakes at church, and
Absolutely.
they believed because of Jesus that these snakes could bite them, and poisonous snakes, and they wouldn't die, and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
Because of the scripture in the Bible where I think it was Paul got bit by the adder, and he just shook the thing off and kept it moving. And so they built their whole Christian faith around this, and literally had the snakes. And so what I'm saying is that there are extremes in everything. You're going to find people who use whatever religion, whether it is Buddhism, Hinduism, whether it is, being Muslim, Christian, or witchcraft.
Right.
They don't use it for evil. I mean, there have been so many wars about religion, so many people killed because of it. So there is negative in all of them,
everything.
In everything. So this thing that witchcraft is so demonic and negative and whatever is like, this is not central to just witchcraft. It's all the way across the board. It's not special to anybody.
Right.
So the spells, are there particular things used to do a spell? Do you have to have objects to do a spell, or is it a speaking of words for the spell?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. Because one, you can. You can use tools. We have everything from, like, the crystals, around that you see. You can use those. We have, your wands. You have your athamanes. You have all sorts of things.
Athamanes. I know it's a knife blade.
Right. Is the athamane is in witchcraft. Is your blade. You can use that in your rituals. As well as cutting energy. So that's what that's for. You can use all of that.
So it's symbolic. You say cutting energy. So
you
it's
cut
like
energy.
Okay.
Yes. But however, the best tools, the very best tools that you have, is right here. Your little hands. If you remember the story of Dumbo, and I love to tell this story how he had his magic feather, and because he had that feather, he could fly. And then when he was up on that tower, and they took that feather, and he didn't have it, and they're like, "But you do." Like, he had that tool. Like I said, you can very much use a tool and move energy through that. But to me, you don't need it. You don't need it.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. It's like those things are a crutch and make you believe more. Yeah. They give you faith, but you really don't need those objects. If you've got that intent in your heart and in your mind and in your, you don't need those kinds of things.
Exactly.
So, again, though, then with the spell, you can do a spell just by speaking.
Sure you can. That's why they call it spelling. You know, so once you're going to think about the power of your word, and I'm glad you said that too, just because most people, I feel like witches in general are conscious of how they speak, you know, not only about themselves, you know, but to others, you know, because every word that you speak, you know, we as witches know that our words become reality, you know, putting that energy out there, so you want to be conscious.
Christians too, there's a scripture that says life and death are in the power of the tongue.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Aware but don't always practice, but you know that stuff is out there.
Right.
And it's talked about the tongue being the double-edged sword.
Right.
Like
Right.
You know, you can literally kill somebody's spirit with what you say to them.
You sure can.
I mean, it happens to children growing up, and they never grow out of it. Just like your father.
Right. And you've put that out there.
You're never gonna, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's your words, what you say. So then, I'm going somewhere with this one. I'm asking you about the spells. So then, what is the difference between doing a spell if you can just do it with words and prayer?
There's absolutely no difference. You know, it's literally you and your intent and your energy, you know, and you're, you know, putting that out there. To me, there's no difference.
Okay.
You know?
And what's the difference between a spell and reciting affirmations?
No difference.
No difference.
You know, you can have an affirmation, and literally because we call it spelling, and those words, it's the same. You know, but I guess, like, you know, in, you know, witchcraft, you talk about spells, you know, so I guess, like, you would look at that or ritual as you've written it down. You know, you have, like, step by step, this is what I'm going to do, and that's fine and good. You know, there's a lot of people who do the spells, and we even teach, you know, certain spells, and it's really to focus, you know, to get you to focus where your intention is needs to be. You know, so yeah, but
some spells are not all hokey. So basically, they're just seeing this that again is the words, and that's what I'm hearing so far. What we're doing, with what we're saying,
yes,
witchcraft, the word automatically has that denotes that negative thing. But when you sit here and you talk about it, there's not,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And then now with the word spells, people automatically think, woo, you know, it's spells. They're, you know, taking the hair off of this person and mixing it with, you know, whatever, the blood of this thing over here, and they're casting a spell, and it just sounds so, you know, people think that it's demonic, but then what you just said is we all cast spells.
We all cast spells. Yes.
We all cast spells. You might call it something else. You might call it a prayer. You might call it an affirmation.
Right. So what was the first
spell?
What was the first spell that you ever did that you can remember?
By the definition that we just gave? By the definition that we just gave.
You can use that definition.
Okay. Shoot, grace over your food is a spell. Right?
And let's go back even before that.
When you, as a child, get on your knees before you go to bed, and you say your prayers.
Okay. And let's go back even before that.
Before I was a child?
No, as you were a child. And we had our birthday. And they gave you this cake. And they put a little candle on there. And they said, oh, now make a wish.
Right.
And blow out that candle. That's what you did. You just cast your first spell. So, I mean, same.
Yeah.
We call that candle magic. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
Okay. So then, so, child, we all been casting spells since we were children.
Right.
Okay. This is amazing to me because, like I said, there's that connotation, and I had it still, and that's what I was dealing with. And that's what I've been saying forever.
Right.
Tiffany, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. And about this, because I've gotten to the point where I'm open and ready to hear and receive and unlearn what I had learned.
Right. You know.
I knew that what I knew or what I felt and knew wasn't right now, but I didn't know what the truth was. I'm like, well, dang, I'm friends with a witch.
You can just come
and ask her and have a conversation with her.
And we'll have a good time doing it.
And like, I'm sure there are other people who are awakening that, you know, want this, want to know this information.
Right.
Okay. So then, rituals. We all have rituals too.
Yes, we do.
Because, like, before I do a tarot card reading, I got my frankincense and myrrh burning because I want to cleanse the space.
Right.
I have candles lit. I cleanse my cards with my Palo Santo. You know, I have a whole prayer that I recite before I ever do a reading.
Right.
And so it's a ritual. I'm like, I got a ritual I got to do. If I don't do this before I read these cards, I don't feel right.
Right.
But Spirit's breaking me of that. It's like you got it whether you do this or not.
Exactly.
Your gift is still there.
It's still there. But it's just something that, you know,
comforts you.
Yes, it's your comfort and to bring your focus. Especially when you're like, yep, I'm going to break out my Palo, because to me to read, I'm going to do my Palo too, because I just love it. I just love the scent. It's like, let me just breathe. And it's like you do these steps just to get you ready. You know? So, yeah. Ritual's the same thing, you know, for an intent, you know.
Are there any particular rituals that are done in witchcraft?
Again, that's a big, you know, broad, you know, thing for, you know, whichever, you know, kind of coven that you are. So, of course, you know, you can have, you know, rituals, you know, for, you know, different Sabbaths, you know, which is like, you know, we just had the autumn equinox and Mabon.
Yes.
You know, so there are a lot who will do rituals, you know, with the whole coven, you know, for that. But, yeah, it's different for everybody.
And those rituals, okay, because we were talking about this before the start, and we can go ahead and go there.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that people believe that you do as a witch? And these rituals and spell casting and all this?
So, to me, as far-fetched as it may sound, I've literally been asked, oh my goodness, as a witch, do you sacrifice goats? Do you sacrifice cats? Do you eat babies? Yes. 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 We've been asked that. Can you turn people into a frog? Whew, that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood all day long. You know? And I think, you know, a lot of the times we have such a bad rap is Hollywood.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's such a stereotype out there. And no, we don't do any of that. You know, like not at all. You know, and we'll be the first to tell you. And if we hear you sacrificing and hurting babies and children, you know,
to me that sounds more like Satanism than I would say witchery.
Right. And to me, even like the Satanism, if you really look into that, it's not what you think it is either. You know, kind of look down that, you know, path, you know, as well at different things, just because of how we are perceived. And there's a lot of misconceptions there too.
So they don't do those kinds of sacrifices.
Again, you know, like I think that's the different
extreme
side. But most of them, no, you know, I don't believe they do. You know, it's all about, you know, self, you know, and taking care of you and, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it's not about harming. You know, but again, like you said, you have extremes everywhere.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
everywhere.
And the thing is, that's really funny about it is, or the extremes are what take over. Like they're what stands.
Yeah.
They're what comes to everybody's mind when they think of a particular thing, not the other side. It's like the more negative it is, okay, that's what they all do. It defines a whole, in that, those negative stereotypes. That's amazing, isn't it? Like people normally just naturally gravitate to the negative, and to the extreme, to the sensational.
You should see our face sometimes when you get asked, you know, do you sacrifice? You know, and I'm like, what? You know, like, who told you that? You know, like, no. You know, like, you know, that's horrible. Like, no. So yeah, you know, lots of, you know, misconceptions. You know, like so we don't do any of that. You know? Especially if you think like the witches, we feel, you know, we have an obligation to take care of Mother Earth. Well, we're certainly not going to go sacrificing her, you know, her children and, you know, the animals and stuff. Absolutely not. We're here to protect. You know, so yeah, it doesn't even doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You know, good question though. You know, like, definitely. You know.
So we're going to talk about the Witch's Ball. Now you guys, Tiffany actually does a Witch's Ball here in the area every year on October 31st, and it must be on October the 31st. Does not matter what day that it falls on. And last year, I was blessed to go, and it was House of Voodoo was the theme yesterday. That one, right? And it was. She had the New Orleans style food that was there, and then she also had a New Orleans style jazz band that played through there and did a little processional with all the people at the witch's ball behind them while they played, and it was really a good time. But the one thing that I hate is I got there too late to catch the beginning of the ceremony. Like when I got there, I was too far back and couldn't get any closer, so I couldn't see what you were doing, and I couldn't hear what you were saying. Tell me about what the witch's ball is to you. And people come to this witch's ball from all over the country. And she calls it the southeastern one, but people from far away come to it because they're not everywhere.
Now, so we'll just say that like the southeastern, you know, I named it southeastern because we wanted the freedom to move anywhere in the southeast. You know, so it'll be, you know, like we've done Rose Hill. This year, you know, we were going to do the museum in Augusta. However, COVID,
the Rona,
you know, all the Rona. We have decided it's in our best interest just to, you know, postpone it, you know, to next year, which has us like rethinking all of our, does it have to be on the 31st, you know, like we were so excited because it fell on a Saturday, it was the 31st, not only a new moon, but it was a blue moon, it just all lined up. We were so excited, and so now we're gonna have to move it. So now we're playing with those dates, you know, to make it on a Saturday now, you know, even if it's not on the 31st. It's gonna be a blast no matter what. But we will let you in behind the scene, you know. So you were saying that you got there a little bit late, you know. Well, you know, it was raining. It was raining, you know. So that's 2 for 2, you know, with the rain. So what we had planned, you know, so this is a little behind the scenes how we had to improv. The entire ritual was to be set up outside. And a huge circle with everyone, and then with, you know, our, you know, coven mates, you know, in the middle. And we were going to literally do, you know, this, you know, simple ritual so people could see, you know, what we do when we do have, you know, ritual, and just calling in those elements, you know, calling in, you know, Hecate, you know, the energy of the goddess, and that so people could see, you know.
What is Hecate? Who is that?
Hecate. Well, we call Hecate like, you know, the mother of all witches. You know, so yeah, you know, beautiful goddess. And to bring in that energy, and we just wanted you to feel it just like you would be at church, you know, to feel that, you know, spirit of that energy. We were so excited about it, and I was like, okay. Then we had like, you know, the goddess chant, which everybody, you know, you kind of got in on it too, you know, just to see like if you would be at church, you know, and everybody has this, you know, certain, you know, prayer, you know, or the certain hymns and stuff you sing. And then what does that do? Like the Pentecostal, you get to sing in these hymns, and you're just building that energy, and that's what we, you know, we were doing. So what was supposed to have happened was have ritual, you know, outdoors, you know, everybody joins in around us. At the end of that ritual, you know, we open the circle, you know, we had a representation, you know, like, you know, the Baron Samadhi, you know, he was to come in, he was in full, you saw the Baron in full regalia, and then he was going to literally escort the casket in, you know, which would have been so much fun, and then the band. You know, so to see that celebration of life. And this for us, you know, for that ritual is throughout the year, we've all lost people, you know, but instead of looking at it as like such a loss, you know, we want to do that very New Orleans style, celebrate their life, you know, and we were just going to have that, you know, New Orleans style, you know, parade, you know, to get out and do the whole grounds. But instead we were indoors in this little space, but we tried to make it happen, you know, so. I think everybody enjoyed it though, you know, even though we were tight knit, you know. Yeah. So that's what that's all about. You know.
Okay, so what is the significance of the circle?
The circle, so that's always your, you know, protective energy. You know, we say as above, so below. So again, you know, most use, you know, their athame or a wand, you know, a crystal, a tool to, you know, cast a circle. So what you're literally doing is casting that circle of energy, you know, like 3 times around. And it's sealing, if you think about like the bubble, you know, it goes above you and it goes in the ground below you. And literally that just puts you in a sacred space. So there's no outside energies
that can come
in the circle.
Okay.
And, you know, it doesn't go out, you know, so you're protected, you know.
Okay.
So that's what that circle is about. It's, you know, protection, you know.
Okay. So, because I totally, and I was like trying to, and my little short self, even with these big old heels on, I'm still only like 5'3", 5'4" with them on. I could not see anything, I couldn't hear anything, and I was like,
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I wondered about that. And
Yeah.
then, you had a lot of entertainment there. You had
We
different
did.
people doing different things.
Right.
And, it was nice. And I hate that it was canceled this year. I was excited because I'm going to be one of the tarot readers
Yes.
at
Right.
the Witch's Ball. So
That's all right. We're gonna convince her to come back. Like the postponement, it's okay.
Yeah.
Which is still gonna be our vampire theme.
Yeah.
House of the Damned.
So the next one, House of the Damned.
House of the
And
Damned.
it's going to be
did we
vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, look at you learning stuff on her channel. Here, So I guess just a few things. All right, girl, you don't get the scoop, So nobody knows this yet, So this is a first.
Okay.
So we did postpone. It's just like we as board members, we are continuing to work on this.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have extra time to work, that means you have extra time to work on that costume. So because it's postponed, so normally it was like a $200 cash prize for the best costume.
Oh.
Well, you have a whole nother year. And here comes Halloween with all the fun stuff. So we're going to up that to a $500 cash prize. For the best. It has to be in theme, vampire costume.
Okay.
So go all out, put your best vampire, together.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're also introducing, I can't believe I'm telling you this already, is a VIP lounge. So there's going to be an extra ticket, which is all inclusive, everything that we have to offer, with your own entertainment, stuff in this room. So you're upgraded, food, you'll have like, the open bar.
Okay.
And, with this ticket, because we do have a cash bar as well, but we figured, hey, we have an extra year, to work on things, so we might as well make it extra special, But it's all going to be in vampire theme, just like we did the voodoo theme was all, voodoo, New Orleans style. This will be, the vampire theme as well. Look at you learning all kind of stuff, and we just told everybody, So that,
Okay, so tell me the significance of October 31st.
So, like, October 31st literally is what we call Samhain, and that would be the night that the veil, we consider to be the thinnest, so
Between us and spirit.
between us and spirit.
Okay.
So that's when you have, like, where you can talk to, your ancestors and stuff, easier, So that's kind of how we look at that,
Okay.
Yeah.
That
And
kind of reminded me of Day of the Dead, because that's a celebration of your past.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of us, you'll see, like, over to the side, I don't know if you'll notice, we'll put like what we call a dumb supper, and that's literally for, like inviting in, the deceased as they come through, and it's literally honoring everybody that had, passed from your life, that. But yeah.
Okay. Now, Yule. Because I remember you doing something for Yule,
We
too.
did,
Winter solstice.
it was the winter solstice, we did that. And we did, Rose Hill, they did a great job, of, the feast, which was a time period, for Yule. And the food was, like I said, delicious. We had this big ball, dance floor where you could just, get all dressed up, but yeah.
So Yule is, because you just had Mabon, so is it that you celebrate every time the season changes, or?
Kind of. So, for us, when you get to Yule, this is going to be where we start to welcome back the light. Because winter has been long, it's been hard. So now those are those days where we want to start recognizing that the light's going to start coming back.
Okay.
Okay. So, she's like, yeah.
So then what was the fall one about?
Mabon?
Mabon.
So, for us, it's your Thanksgiving, one of the harvest, the last harvest. So you bring in like your harvest and your food, to prepare for winter.
Okay.
So
so is there a ceremony for that, or you just
it depends again, depends on
what kind of
path you're taking.
Okay.
So
Because on my timeline on Instagram, I was seeing the Mabon post.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Now they were just posts, but not like parties or whatever that people were having, but they were just recognizing that it was.
And
it
like
was Mabon.
You can do for your traditional covens, you can do ritual and whatnot. For me and my coven, it's more like you would think an actual Thanksgiving dinner. You
Really?
Yeah. You know,
do you have a particular menu like Thanksgiving does, where there's turkey and ham, and
you can, but we're we had crazed a bunch of witches, you know, and this last one, which obviously we couldn't get together, here, this past one, but for last year, what we did, we had chili. Okay. Everybody, it's like potluck chili. So everybody brought a different kind of chili, so it doesn't have to be, it's what you make it, So that's what we did, just and we had it right on up here, at the craft, and had tables set up, and, we just had fun trying each of the chilies, and of course you bring in like, desserts or, whatever, everybody likes and drinks, but it's really celebrating family, and, that's how we celebrated, so.
Okay. Are there any misconceptions that you want to dispel that we haven't hit upon that has to do with your practice?
We're not evil, we're not out there, casting spells, like I said, we're not eating babies, we're not hurting animals, most of us literally are out there trying to live our best life, and we're really putting out that positive energy, and if you need, like help, with any of that, it's just like you would think prayer, we do that, we'll send out those prayers for you, we'll send out those petitions for you, but we're not out there just, like Hollywood style, dark, evil energy, because that's not what we're about,
So, I'm thinking again, do you consider what you do a religion, or do you just consider it a spiritual practice?
I consider it a spiritual practice, but when you start thinking like Wicca, is a religion, so, but for me, it's eclectic, as, a witch, it's like magic, like the witchery, practice of witchcraft,
So the friend that you have that are high priest and high priestess, because I'm getting hierarchies, which sticks in my head about organization, which is organized religion in my head.
It is. Okay. For them, like the Wicca, religion, it is. The hierarchy, it is organized. But for me, I just, prefer to do the, priestess of the community, be open to every faith, every path, because I'm just, that's best, use of my, abilities, is to welcome everybody.
Yeah.
I just can't follow an organized, religious, path, because there's pieces of all of them, that we like to bring in.
So then, with your background, where your family came up Christian, and then with my background, and you saying that you have Christians in your coven,
we do.
How do you, or how do they, particularly with what people say is taught in the Bible, how they interpret what's taught in the Bible, reconcile being a witch and being Christian? Am I making sense?
Yes.
Like, because, like I said, Christianity, when I was in it,
right,
bad. So how do you reconcile the two?
That's a good one, and it's hard, for a lot. Like I said, a few of ours, they still, our members go to church, and she has a lot of, and she's actually an elder, in our, particular, coven, but
so
she
you
also
have elders.
Is she? Well, I would say age-wise, elders.
Okay, that's a position actually.
Not
in
the
the
position.
Christian church.
It is
Okay.
right. You're right, but no, I'm speaking of age.
Okay.
But she's in her 70s, we'll say, and in her church, she's already had like, some of her, peers saying like in their 90s, asking, well, are you a witch? And she's like, yes, I am. Can I ask you questions? And we're trying to break barriers, not that I would ever, say, what, you need to come try our, faith, our stuff. What we do, we don't do that. I feel, when you're ready to learn, the teacher will show up, that kind of thing, and we'll just help you explore. But to be a witch, you're practicing, magic and the, manipulating energy and stuff. But to me, in the Christian faith, you're saying prayers and you're putting that energy out there. We just take the positives, and like I said, she, a lot of ours were, brought up, Baptist, Catholic, and they just, integrate the practice. Like, that's their faith.
Right.
They believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
They believe Jesus, as their deity.
Mm-hmm.
And that is perfectly fine, because we believe, Jesus was an amazing, teacher,
Mm-hmm.
So we just put those, together, and that's how, like, most, go through that, But yeah.
Okay. So, my brain was just thinking a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get it back. Hold on a second.
Okay.
We were talking about reconciling the two. What was I thinking? And it was good. I hate when it happens. So that comes with age, Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like people to be quiet when I'm doing a tarot card reading.
Right.
But when I have a question, it's like the question needs to go on and come out, because if a few minutes
Girl,
go
you
by,
can stop me and be like, well, hold up, let me
I
ask
don't
a question.
remember the question.
Bust in with a question, because I'm the same way. If I don't get it, I'll be like, what was I talking about? And yep, with age, yep, I'm noticing that the older I get, like, yes.
Tiffany, when I'm thinking about it, tell them how they can follow you on social media, follow your business, you personally, whatever it is you want to give out, your Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Right. So, like, I am on Instagram, but I am not, like, technology, inclined. I do have a Facebook page, that's where I'm most active, is, the craft, in Aiken, like here, so if you follow me, like at the craft, on Facebook, that's where I post everything from the healing, like, haircuts, whatever, to products, and sometimes like little witchy, tips and stuff we put out there. That's where I put most everything.
Okay.
So if you, look
So
through
your Facebook page is The Craft.
The Craft.
Because there may be many pages called The Craft, so look for the one that has Aiken, South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm actually located in Aiken, South Carolina. Oh my goodness, like, it has the triple moon, the logo on there, which we probably should, you can show them a card, with the logo on there, there, but it is called, like, The Craft,
Okay. All right. Any other social? We have a website, or
I don't have a website.
Okay.
Again, that's has been one of those things that's over my head. We'll get one of those eventually. Hopefully. But I'm on Instagram. Like I said, I have a page, The Craft. As well as Priestess Tiffany. I hate to say I'm not as active. On either of those sites. As I am. Right there on
Facebook. Okay,
yeah,
so Facebook is best. See, I'm opposite. I get much more love on Instagram.
Do you? Okay,
yes.
Cool.
The thing is that when I post on Instagram, it'll automatically go to my Facebook page.
Right.
Okay. And it automatically posts there, and I have to catch some of them. Some of them I don't catch because not everything needs to go on the Facebook page that I have on my Instagram page, right? But I have much more interaction and whatever engagement on Instagram than I do Facebook. So that's where I focus. I even have a Twitter, but that's the least, active one. And
girl, I'm not just saying I ain't figured out Twitter yet. That is like, one of the most confusing platforms to me. Like, I've tried it and I'm like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah, I did a business one on there, and I'm like, how is this beneficial to businesses?
I don't get it.
So. Yeah, maybe it's just over our head. I'm sure that there is something to it, so that you can do something with. But okay.
So yeah, and I'll get very techno savvy, or however you want to say that eventually. But yeah, I'll get there.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that, and if I think of anything else, there just might have to be a part 2.
We can do a part 2.
Okay.
We'll get on, talk to everybody with a part 2. Why not?
I'm seriously considering doing a podcast at this point.
Right.
I'm considering it because, it is a lot easier than writing a blog. Like, if I recorded this and then have to go take it home and put this into words.
And you lose a lot in the translation,
exactly.
Of words. So
exactly.
And I thought it was fun. It was fun talking to everybody and sharing. So yeah, anytime you have questions, I'm here.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You guys, thank you for watching. This is Purpose All Mystic here with Priestess Tiffany Lee. And we thank you so much for watching again. Don't forget to hit my subscribe button. Make that red button gray. And hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload new videos. Follow me on Instagram at purposesoul.mystic and on Facebook at Purpose Soul LLC. And until we meet again, peace and love. Okay, here's the middle piece that I forgot in the first part. With more crystals. We got black tourmaline, selenite, wands. That looks like a selenite charger right there. Yeah, selenite hearts, palm stones, ulexite, which I have a piece of I bought from Tiffany. And I liked it because you look straight through it and read whatever it's sitting on. Why you have to have that need, I don't know, but I was intrigued. Aquamarine. There's some necklaces. Azurite. Some more jewelry. It looks like some chakra earrings. This look like wands of some sort. But if you're in the Aiken, South Carolina area, come and check out her shop. Those Tree of Life pendants.